everybody. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers pregame show presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We are live in the Xfinity mobile studio. Happy Festivus to one and all. I am your assistant to the director of fun and games, Steve Tocchet. Joining me is the best in the biz, Charlie O'Connor. Charlie, how are we doing tonight?
We are doing okay. I love what you are showing the viewers right now, getting in that festive spirit. I respect it.
We got the gritty, what is this, a Squishmallow, I believe, with the Santa hat on. It's looking good.
I love it. I love it. No, I'm doing good. We are here today to close out what has been a ridiculously busy stretch for the Philadelphia Flyers. This will be their 10th game in 17 days. Then we get a 4-day break for the holiday. The Flyers get, I believe, a 3-day break. I think they are officially off for 3 days. But yeah, this has been a crazy last 2.5 weeks, and it finally comes to an end tonight.
Yeah, it comes to an end tonight, and it's just a wild schedule, especially for this part right here, where they play yesterday in Philadelphia, 7:30 game, more like 7:45 after all the holiday festivities that just wouldn't end. And then we jump over to Chicago for a 9 p.m. Eastern game, 8 Central game that is just trying to drive us all nuts. And this is, so on paper, if you just look at this matchup without, I don't know, thinking about any of that stuff, you're like, well, this should be an easy win for the Flyers. But this travel is a big deal. I mean, this is a lot of games played in a short period of time. And this is an opponent, while very weak, they're literally at the bottom of the standings. You don't want to sleep on them.
No, you don't. And the Flyers do get lucky in that they are facing them without Connor Bedard. Frank Nazar also not in the lineup. So definitely their best overall player. And then one of their other legitimately good offensive weapons also not in the lineup. So that will help. But as you mentioned, the Flyers are probably gassed. This was an exhausting stretch. They played last night. They played in Philly. They traveled to Chicago. It's a little bit of a weird time. They have their lesser of two netminders in net, as we'll talk about in a few minutes. And the Blackhawks have 2 days to rest. They last played on Saturday, so they are a rested team. This is, if the Blackhawks were just a mediocre team, this would be something that you would look at and say this is kind of a schedule loss because the Flyers are in such a tough strait in terms of where they're at in their schedule, in terms of the travel, in terms of being the second game of back-to-back playing a rested team. But because the Blackhawks are such an underwhelming foe, you're thinking to yourself, like, they should be able to win anyway. But it does make this game much tougher than it would be if these two teams just played each other in a neutral environment with both teams having the same amount of rest.
Yeah. And the nice thing for the Flyers is they are coming off, last night, one of their best wins of the season, one of their most complete efforts. And because of that, no lineup changes tonight, at least as far as we can tell. It doesn't appear that Rick Tocchet has decided to change anything in the lineup. And Brenna, if we could get the lines up there, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're sticking with Christian Dvorak, Trevor Zegras, and Travis Konecny on the top line. Denver Barkey, Sean Couturier, and Owen Tippett, Matvei Michkov, Noah Cates, and Bobby Brink, and Carl Grundstrom, Rodrigo Abels, and Nikita Grebenkin. So yeah, I mean, I don't see any reason to really mix those up. And did you like what you saw out of the lines last night, Charlie?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought one of the most, and there were a lot of very encouraging things about this game that they played last night against the Vancouver Canucks. But to me, maybe the most encouraging facet of the game was that all four lines played well.
Yes.
And you've rarely seen that this year. Usually there's one line that's great, a couple lines that are okay. Then there was the fourth line, which pretty much every night was terrible. Last night, yeah, the fourth line came through. They scored the first 2 goals of the game. They were kind of the, not the unsung hero, but the very sung about heroes. But the other 3 lines were real good too. I really liked the Denver Barkey on that line with Sean Couturier. Owen Tippett was fantastic all game. I thought the Michkov, Cates, Brink line had flashes. They were good. Wouldn't say they were amazing, but Michkov was moving well. He was effective all game. Glad he got rewarded with the empty net goal at the end. And honestly, that Zegras line, the Zegras Dvorak Konecny line, you just expect it's at least going to be good. And it was good. So you had all 4 lines were delivering quality possessions, quality cycles, creating chances. So to me, this was such a no-brainer. I don't know for a fact. I don't think they've run the lines yet in Chicago. I don't know for a fact that they're keeping all four of these lines together, but apparently Tocchet did tell Jackie Spiegel, who's the only journalist on the road for this game, that there were going to be no changes to the personnel, which would imply, based on the way they played yesterday, that they're not going to make any changes to the lines either.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That is
exactly
a good way to live your life right there. And yeah, I mean, I love the distribution of minutes yesterday because typically, like we saw in the Rangers game, right? Nick Delorier ends up, I think, with about 6.5 minutes or something like that in time played in that game, which is just ridiculous because you need as much even distribution as you can. And, obviously some guys are going to get more minutes than others, but looking at it last night, the lowest minute you got for a forward was Nikita Grebenkin, who got 12-16. So that's a really good sign. And that also will keep your top guys fresher. I mean, we've been seeing Trevor Zegras come around 20 minutes a night. He ends up with 16:37 last night, and that's really encouraging.
Yeah, and especially given the fact that it was a back-to-back. To have the luxury of being able to run four lines, to keep everybody's minutes limited, knowing that you're going to have to get on a plane, that night. They flew to Chicago tonight, or last night, I guess is the best way to put it. And then they're going to have to play, a game, the second game of back-to-back with the other team rested. You want to have that luxury. The Flyers obviously play overtime games all the time, but last night was a night where you really didn't want to go to overtime. You really didn't want to play extra hockey because you knew you had to travel. You knew you're playing the next day. And it's the 10th game in 17. Like, this is the end. They finally get a chance to catch their breath. So they might be a little gassed in this game. The hope is that Chicago is a weak enough opponent that they can have a little bit less energy than normal and still come away with a win just because Chicago is a really bad team.
Yeah, they're pretty terrible, and I'm really hoping they take advantage of it tonight. One of the things that's been great over the past couple games has been Denver Barkey in his debut NHL season. He's really just hitting right now, and he looks right at home with the Couturier and Tippett line. What are your expectations for Denver Barkey heading into tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a bold prediction here, Steve.
Ooh, I like it.
I think he's scoring his first NHL goal tonight.
Yes.
I'm gonna say this is the night Denver Barkey scores his first NHL goal. He almost got it last night. He almost got it on a couple occasions on Saturday against the Rangers. He's been banging down that door. I've loved what I've seen from Denver Barkey. I feel like, he fits, and don't get me wrong, like Matvei Michkov is a better young player than Denver Barkey, but I feel like Barkey might fit that Couturier line better than Michkov does, just because Couturier is always going to be better served as a cycle guy, and Michkov, like with Tippett, you want Tippett to be the puck carrier on a line, and if you have Michkov's going to want the puck a lot too. There's only one puck. Couturier wants a cycle. So now you got the cycle guy, you got the puck carrier, and you got to do the little things right. I know he's small, but he's physical. He battles. He keeps pucks alive. He was real good along the boards. To me, like, that trio makes more sense as a group than the Michkov Couturier type of trio that they had been running a lot over the course of the season. I loved what I saw from them last night. I actually had them as my best line of the night in my article breaking down the game. I think they're going to score a goal, and I think it's going to be Barkey who does it.
That would be awesome to see. I mean, he got those first 2 points on Saturday. Everybody was super pumped for him. Just great vibes about that. It's a shame they blew the game, but otherwise, seeing Barkey do what he did was fantastic. And, you talked a little bit about Michkov's fit on that line, and now he's been with Noah Cates and Bobby Brink for a few games now. How are you liking the fit of that line so far?
I think it's been okay. I was most intrigued because, we've seen him with Bobby Brink over the course of the season. He was on a line with him and Couturier for a while, and that duo is fine. To me, it's a little small on the wing for my liking. Having two really small guys together, but they've showed some chemistry. They had the nice goal where they hooked up on the one in Montreal where Michkov forces the turnover behind the net. Jacob Fowler really screws up, and then he finds Brink. So there's some chemistry there. But I've been most intrigued to see how Michkov looks with Cates, because they haven't really had any time to play together over the course of the season and 2 months that Michkov has been in the NHL. And I think so far you're seeing a little bit, Cates is a high hockey IQ guy. Michkov is a high hockey IQ guy. Cates' hockey IQ probably leans more towards the defensive end, whereas Michkov's leans more towards the offensive end. I think there's potential there for a compliment. And I thought last night you saw it a little bit. It just may take some time to emerge, but I've seen enough that I want to give it a more of a look. I want to see if they can start, creating a connection there and maybe coming through for some goals.
Yeah, because it just felt like they were kind of bashing their head against the wall with the Couturier and Michkov thing. Been trying it all season. It just hasn't been working. The other thing is I like the fit of Bobby Brink over there. You have two offensively creative guys working together. And Brink also is a guy much like Denver Barkey, who despite his size can still, get in the corner, muck it up a little bit, get some hits out there. They both kind of play a little bit bigger than they are at times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's gonna raise some interesting questions from a roster building standpoint over the long term, where it's like, okay, well, this Barkey kid looks like he's a legit NHL player. Is he kind of redundant with Brink? Can you only pick one of the two? But in the here and now, like Brink is a clear-cut, solid NHL player. You're hoping he develops into more, but at the very least, he's a solid NHL middle six winger. And Denver Barkey is really exciting right now, so I don't think anybody wants to pull him out of the lineup. So, see what happens over the long term, but in the here and now, keep both those guys in to be sure.
Well, and I love having an actual fourth line with no weak spots. At least, that's what we saw last night. And Carl Grundstrom's been just a really, really solid player since they brought him up. And what we saw last night was Nikita Grebenkin's. I mean, that's got to be his best game of the season by far.
Oh yeah. I love the play he made on the Grundstrom goal. Just that little head fake to get around Philip Hronek. Thought that was just a really like high hockey IQ play, skill play. We talked about it last night when I came on the show. Yeah, that's the game that Grebenkin has to play in order to stick at the NHL level and be an above average NHL player. Like I think he's going to be a bottom six forward if he makes it. Maybe not a fourth liner, but definitely a guy who's in your bottom six, who's, sometimes plays on the third line, sometimes plays on the fourth line, brings energy, brings battle, brings some skill and chips in with, 25, 30 points a year. Not obviously not the same type of player exactly, but like kind of like the way Scott Laughton was, where, Laughton, yeah, once in a while he could play on the second line, but most likely he was like a good bottom sixer. That's what I'm hoping for from Grebenkin. And the way he played last night is the way he has to play in order to get to that point. He gets the goal on a nice deflection in front. He has to own those high danger areas, has to own that net front area. He did that last night. I was very reassured by Grebenkin's play because his play prior to being sat had not been terribly impressive when he had gotten that look on the third line to replace Tyson Forrester. This is the Grebenkin I want to see, and I want to see more of it.
Yeah, I want to see much more of this Grebenkin. It's a guy he's a big body. He can throw his weight around, and he's not a complete liability out there, at least hopefully. So more of this, please. Now, let's talk quickly about the defense. Brent, if we could get the defensive pairings up there. It looks like it's just the same as we've seen since Ristolainen came back into the lineup, and I'm okay with that. My big question for you, Charlie, I think we keep expecting kind of the Bash brothers of Nick Seeler and Rasmus Ristolainen to get broken up and kind of mixed up with Andre and Drysdale. Do you like it as it is right now, or do you want to see it mixed up soon?
It's an interesting question because I'm okay with what it is for now. But I do think at some point that is like the logical switch. I think really what it boils down to is they like Emil Andre and Jamie Drysdale. They don't want to take that pairing apart. They like what it's done. It kind of shocks me that they like it as much as they do because it's two small defensemen who are both puck movers. It seems like something that like Rick Tocchet and his staff wouldn't like, but they've liked it. And I'm not going to yell at them for keeping a pair together that I never thought they were going to try in the first place,
Yeah, exactly. I'm pleasantly surprised that they've kept it together. I like seeing the skill guys together. I've also been just happy that they have been sticking with Emil Andre, and the coach hasn't been trying to stick it to you or anything like it this year when you've said that he's been a good player, because Emil Andre, I keep saying that he brings a different dimension to this defense where he's just offensively attacking and he's just a little bit more mobile than the rest of those guys, and he's fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm just happy. And it's nice to see now. Like, I'm happy that Andre's getting the ice time because I like Andre. I want to see him establish himself as a clear-cut above average NHL defenseman. I'm just happy that now their entire defense is back and they're not playing games with it. Like, to me, going into camp, like, yeah, obviously you knew that Ristolainen was going to miss the beginning of the year, so that's fine. Yeah, you're going to have to replace him with somebody to start the year. But your best 6 defensemen when everyone are healthy are, in some order, Travis Sanheim, Cam York, Jamie Drysdale, Nick Seeler, Rasmus Ristolainen, and Emil Andre. And the fact that for the first few weeks of the year, they tried to sell us on the idea that like Emil Andre is not ready. Maybe he's not even that good. Maybe we need a bigger defense core. Like, we all watched him play last year. Okay. I'm not going to say that he was incredible in camp, but we all know this guy is almost certainly better than like Adam Yinning. Then the guys that they were trying to throw out there is like, no, actually, we need him because he's big. Like, you know what? At some point, hopefully the Flyers will get good enough they can afford to be picky about like what player fits a certain style and like, well, he's too small. We need to get bigger because that's how you win in the playoffs. Like, yes, at some point they will have to make decisions like that. Right now, they do not have enough talent to be that picky. They just have to go with the best 6 players they have on defense and throw them out there and figure it out from there. And I love the fact that like the return of Ristolainen hasn't like given them the inspiration to be like, well, we could pull Andre out and bring Juleson in because size. Like, no, let's just keep Andre in there, roll with our best 6, and then find a way to make it work. And I love the fact they're doing that.
I was very concerned about that when Ristolainen came back. So I am very happy that we've been proven wrong on that. All right, we're going to talk about the upcoming schedule in a second. But before we do that, let's take our first break. The other day, I'm over at a friend's place. He's pumped to watch hockey, but his setup, total mess. Lagging, buffering, switching between apps, trying to find the game. He claimed he was a big fan, but I feel like I've been fan-fished. See, if you call yourself a football or hockey fan, you gotta have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. You can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. The way I watch, next level. It's the perfect fan flex. I've got all the action right in my living room. Plus, Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K, so clear it feels like I'm in the arena. Sometimes I've got 4 games going at once because why not? On top of all that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multi-view requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide. Bet365 live streams 780,000 events each year. Today, Bet365 offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. With the Bet365 NHL early payout offer, you're a winner if your team gains a 3-goal lead and an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Breaking news from Bet365, new customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we are back, and let's talk about the upcoming schedule because it's the most dreaded time of the year if you're a Philadelphia Flyers fan.
Disney on Ice, baby.
Disney on Ice trip. It is one of those times where, it's late night games. We get a lot of wacky Flyers after dark games over here. It's a terrible time if you cover this team too, like us, because a lot of these late night games. But hey, that's why we're pros. We are here to cover it. But yeah, we got the Chicago Blackhawks tonight, 9 p.m. game. And then we have a few days off. And then if we go to the next week, all right, then they come back on the 28th against Seattle Kraken, then the Vancouver Canucks, Calgary Flames, and the Edmonton Oilers to round out the Canada trip. I mean, this is just a tough trip here, Charlie.
Yeah, it is. Look, it's not necessarily a tough trip from a quality of opponent standpoint, but it's a tough trip in terms of just the sheer amount of travel they're going to be doing. It always is. It's always tough. Luckily, a lot of these teams, like last year, Calgary was pretty good. This year, they stink. Obviously, we saw last night Vancouver isn't very good. And the Oilers, while they still have Connor McDavid, are not necessarily as good as you would expect them to be.
Tristan Jarry didn't just magically fix everything?
Yeah, apparently they're talking to Marc-Andre Fleury too, so that should tell you about where their goalie situation's at the moment. But then you come back home, and then it is tough. I mean, Toronto is obviously a mess, but they still have good players. Tampa's a good team, and then there's that Ducks game, baby.
Ooh.
Cutter Gauthier.
Cutter Gauthier, and the Ducks have been shockingly good. They're actually right around the Flyers as far as points on the season go. So they're having a really nice season. Their plan's kind of coming together right now. And that's going to be a really interesting matchup. And guess what? You guys should come to that game. In fact, you should hang out in the suite with Bill and Charlie for the sweet takeover.
Yes.
Join Charlie, Bill, and the PHLY Flyers diehards for the return of Cutter Gauthier to Xfinity Mobile Arena as the Flyers take on the Anaheim Ducks. The takeover includes game ticket and Suite 32. The Flyers attack twice at Xfinity Mobile Arena. There's complimentary food and drinks all night. Immaculate vibes with the PHLY Flyers crew, and diehards get a 20% discount. How can you not do this? Come on out. Boo Cutter Gauthier. It's going to be a great time. But in all seriousness, beyond just booing Gauthier, this is going to be a really good test of where this Flyers team is because the Ducks have taken strides this year.
Yeah, and the Ducks are doing what Joel Quenneville teams usually do, especially in the beginning, which is basically saying, yeah, we don't care about defense. We're just going to go fast, and we're going to score as many goals as possible, and we're going to hope our goalies make enough saves to bail us out when we inevitably give up the big scoring chance that we're going to give up. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Flyers in that game will be able to withstand the high-powered attack that Quenneville and the Ducks have. But before they get to that, they got to do this road trip. And this road trip is it's a long one. It's 4 games and 7 nights. And they're going to be bouncing all around, the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada. I will not be on the trip, so I will be in studio or on StreamYard for all these games. Maybe some with you, probably most with Bill, but I will be there for all of them. So including that one that is on New Year's Eve, that one that we're all so excited for.
I mean, at least you're not in Calgary. I guess you got that going for you. But yeah, and the Flyers, they've been okay on the road. They're 7-5-3 away from Xfinity Mobile Arena, but they've been way better at home. They're 11-5-4 at home. So these are games that are very winnable, though. Like, they could get a lot of points on this road trip. I'd like to see them really step up and take care of business in a lot of these games. At least the flow of the travel is pretty good. Like, Seattle to Vancouver is good because they're right there.
Yeah,
and then
close.
I don't know what the heck Edmonton and Calgary are. I don't know. I have no idea.
Edmonton and Calgary. So I've done this trip a couple times. They aren't far. So Calgary is like, if I remember correctly, I believe it's, I'm trying to think which one's which. I think Calgary is south of Edmonton. I think Edmonton is north of Calgary. But what I vividly remember is going between the two, and you get like you could take a bus. I've taken a bus before, but I've also taken a plane. And if you take a plane, because it's such a short trip, the plane doesn't actually go that far off the ground, so you can pretty much look down the entire time, and it's nothing. It's literally one road that just goes due north, right between the cities, and then a bunch of just like empty space prairie. It's wild.
Wow. Did you consider taking sled dogs between the two?
Honestly, that would be a pretty fun trek. I would totally do that if I had the opportunity.
Maybe that's what they should offer from now on. That's actually the next fan package is you do the Western Canada trip with sled dogs between Edmonton and Calgary. That's the way to do it. Come on. Let's make it happen, Philly Sports Trips. Come on, guys. Yes. We know what's up. All right. And I think one last question on the schedule before we talk about Chicago and do the bets and call it a day until like 3 hours from now. But as far as the schedule goes, so the 3 home games, it's the Ducks, it's the Leafs, and who was the other team on there? I'm trying to remember offhand.
The other team was the
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Tampa Bay Lightning.
The Lightning are the toughest team out of 2 of them. Would you say at this point, given the Maple Leaf struggles, the Ducks or the Leafs are a tougher matchup there at home?
Ooh, that's a good question. I want to say the Leafs. That said, it's probably, it might be the Ducks that are the tougher matchup because they are playing better. The only thing about the Ducks, though, is that I suspect the Flyers will be amped for that game. The crowd will certainly be amped. They'll be able to ride that momentum. Trevor Zegras is going to be amped for that game to prove them wrong. So that's going to be fun. That's the only thing that gives me pause about that matchup being difficult because I wonder if the Flyers are just going to blow the doors off them like they did last year and ride that wave of energy. But I think the Ducks are a better team right now than the Maple Leafs. The Maple Leafs, look, they could turn it around at any moment, I guess, but it certainly looks like they're in free fall.
Yeah, it's not looking good if you're a Toronto fan. And, you know, we're never too sad for the people in Toronto, even though
I'm not shedding any tears, Steve.
No, that's a shame energy right there. And, you know, that's the right mood to be in on Festivus over here. Happy Festivus, folks. But so Chicago Blackhawks is the matchup tonight, a team that is literal worst in the NHL so far this year. We're looking at the goals for, the goals against. The goals against is nasty. 3.11 goals per game against, although their goaltender tonight is Spencer Knight, who actually has some pretty good numbers on the year. He's 10-9-5 with a 914 save percentage and a 257 GAA. I guess their backups are just getting slaughtered out there.
Yeah, I mean, Knight is good, and Knight's a good story. I'm glad that he's been able to, to kind of find himself in a new locale. If the Flyers lose this game, I imagine he's a huge part of it, because Spencer Knight has gotten off to such a good start this year. He has the pedigree of being a top prospect, in a new location. So it's not like it. There are some guys when they get off to a good start, you're like, maybe that's fluky. Spencer Knight has the pedigree to tell you, like, yeah, probably isn't fluky. He's probably just good. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Looking at their backup goalie, Arvid Soderblom, he's at an 873 save percentage and a 4.04 goals against average. So yeah, it's Spencer Knight who's carrying that load. And he's going to be tough. The Flyers are going to have to dig deep. Obviously, as I said, expect they're probably a little tired from the trip, from this 2.5 week long run, but it's not going to be easy to beat Spencer Knight. I'm not necessarily expecting the Blackhawks to bring a ton of firepower unless the Flyers just gift wrap them a bunch of scoring chances. But I am a little concerned about their ability to break through Spencer Knight, because he's having a real good year. And I think he's probably a really good goalie.
Yeah, I think I was actually jealous of that move when they made that. I thought that was a nice little under the radar move they made last year to get him in there. And I wish the Flyers had done something like that. But then again, we got Dan Vladar, who's been rock solid this year. So
it's true.
No complaints on that front. So one question about Chicago before we get to the bets. Connor Bedard is out for this game. He's out until January at least. Who is your big threat on the Chicago Blackhawks for the Flyers tonight offensively?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. Well, looking at it, it looks like Burakovsky has been picking up the load in the absence of Bedard. He's got 4 points in his last 5 games, but yeah, Nazar's out for this game, as we mentioned. So for them, I guess it's going to have to be by committee, right? Like Bedard, looking at their overall numbers, Bedard has 44 points in 31 games. The next closest guy is Tyler Bertuzzi with 26 points in 32. So we're talking about an 18-point drop-off to the second best scorer on the team. And the top scorer on the team is not playing. He's out for quite a while. So again, this is what I'm talking about, how if the Flyers are going to lose this game, they're either going to be so exhausted that they're just gift wrapping them high danger chances. Sam Ersson plays like absolute garbage, which is certainly possible, or Spencer Knight stands on his head. Those are the 3 possible ways, because I'm not expecting the Blackhawks to be overwhelming the Flyers with firepower with both Bedard and Nazar out.
Got to take care of business tonight, boys. Got to take care of business. All right, let's get to the picks. So we've got our pregame picks, our Bet365 pregame picks. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Must be 21 plus and in Pennsylvania. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I got 3 for you tonight. 3 bets. First off, Matvei Michkov. 1+ points, that's plus 125. Matvei Michkov had 3 points in 2 games played against Chicago last season. He's got points in 4 of his last 5 games played this season. So I like Matvei Michkov to get 1+ points. Let's up it a little bit. All right. Trevor Zegras, I got him going for 2+ points at plus 295. He's got that 8-game point streak going. We want that to keep on going. And if there's a team he could score some goals against or score some points again, Chicago Blackhawks are it. And then the last one, and Charlie and I did not coordinate on this beforehand, and I'm glad this worked out like it did. You want to get nuts on Festivus? Let's get nuts. Denver Barkey, anytime goal, plus 425. He's had some good opportunities. I thought he was going to get it in the Rangers game. And Charlie feels confident that tonight's the night. So Denver Barkey, 425. Let's do it.
You know what? I'm just feeling it. I'm feeling a Festivus miracle for Denver Barkey tonight.
A Festivus for the rest of us. All right. Exactly. I would love to see it. All right. I think we got one super chat and then we will hit the road. Flyers versus Jeremy Roenick's favorite team. He's crying tears somewhere right now.
Hey, he did spend a lot of time as a Chicago Blackhawk.
He did. He did. Duh, Flyers, man. And we got one more. All right. We got David Shub said, fun fact, Adam S. and I did sled dogs in Alaska once. That's very cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. I want to hear more about that. Did you take it between the Calgary Flames and Edmonton Oilers games, though, is what I want to know.
Oh, man. That would be funny. That would be very fun. I guess because like it's not very snowy. Maybe I'm sure there are times when it's snowy. So you might have to have one of those like sleds that go over dirt, which could still be done.
Yeah, I would love to see it. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, that is all we got for you on Flyers pregame. Come hang out with us for very late night post game tonight. Hopefully not too late night. Hopefully they take care of business in regulation. And yeah, we'll see you in a couple hours, folks. Let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the